Hello there, dear boys. I'm Sterling Moss. You're listening to Gareth Jones on Speed. Now, if you're a woman, kindly turn off this podcast immediately, as your mind will simply not be able to comprehend it. What? Hello, I'm Gareth Jones. Welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed, and I'm going to start with an apology for the telephone sound effect that I used on that sketch about Brawn GP in the last episode.
You've been fielding complaints, I gather.
Only so far from Richard.
Yes.
But I would imagine that everyone has been suffering from it as well. Richard Porter.
Hello.
And Zog.
Hello.
Welcome to the programme. Richard, I'm sorry about that. Was that actually the sound of your phone ringing?
Well, apparently it was, yes. And I listened to it in the car, where I was convinced it was my phone ringing, turned the stereo down, ring stops, but my phone was hooked through the Bluetooth in the car, so I thought, well, maybe because I've turned it down, I've also turned down the ring from my phone, and it's a cry for help from my phone. And then I was looking for my phone, which I think was in my back pocket. I'm not trying to suggest that you were attempting to kill me, but I was on quite a windy road in the Brecon Beacons in South Wales, so I could have died. Because of your careless sound effects. That's all I'm saying.
But you're basically complaining that it was too realistic.
Yes, you could put it that way, or just that it was unnecessary for those of us who prefer a more traditional ringtone.
Gareth Jones on Speed, confusing your ears. And here's another sound complaint. I can't remember who this came from recently, but someone complained about not being able to hear Richard since we went to a stereo mix on this programme ages ago now. So, I've berated Richard, don't go out of phase on the mic, stay around here. And it turns out that this person who's listening to the show these days has only got one left or the right channel in their car where they listen to the programme from. So wants us to go back to a mono mix to personally tailor the programme for them.
Can I suggest that this is the solution? You can do your own mono mix down. Nice and easy. Just in any corner garden audio editing programme, take the two stereo channels, mix them down to a mono track. Bob's your uncle.
There you go. For those of you who prefer not to hear me, just move your faders across to one side in your car. The job's a good one. Something that I'm sure some people will be taking advantage of. For example, my wife.
Anyway, here we are now. Finally, 2.5 minutes into the programme. We haven't mentioned cars properly yet, have we? Should we talk about racing cars, the Formula One variety, the Chinese Grand Prix? What about that Alonso, then? Damn him.
He's a terrific driver.
Damn him.
He is fabulous. There's no getting around the fact that he's a hell of a racing driver.
And don't you think the Ferraris made a very good start? I mean, just almost absurdly good. Where, for example, Vettel didn't make a particularly good start and was lucky to hold his place, which I think he did. But maybe that Red Bull's harder to get off the line. Webber has a history of making slightly ropey starts.
Yeah.
But the Ferraris, they were off. Pair of them. And then they both overtook Lewis Hamilton a lap or so in, as if he was standing still.
Talking of which, what about that Lewis Hamilton? Well done, good lad.
I thought it was wonderful. That little historical note that he was the first British driver to take a pole for Mercedes since Sterling Moss.
Nice.
That's a great little connection.
Yes.
But, I've got to say that weekend kind of confirmed in my mind that if you were going to have any two drivers in your team, you've got a free pick. You'd have Alonso and Hamilton. You'd have the you'd have the
yet,
combination
ironically,
that
when
McLaren
that happened, it didn't work out so well.
I know, and that's what makes it so tragic. That they had those two. I guess the timing wasn't quite right, because I'm sure if you had the two of them in the same team now, there'd be a much better chance of it working out. They'd be able to get along, and I think they've kind of got the respect for each other now and a bit more understanding than they had.
So you mentioned Sir Sterling Moss. Of course.
The mighty Moss.
Have you seen what's been going on this week?
Hang on. I thought you were going to talk about his controversial comments about his casting preferences for who might play him in a movie.
Oh, no, he's got worse.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I think he may have taken leave of his senses. He believes that women will never succeed in Formula One because they simply don't have the faculties for it. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it. I dread to think his views on Lewis Hamilton... because, let's be honest, the man seems to have become a little bit prejudiced, or at least is now airing his prejudice.
Hang on. Does he? He's into a doddery...
doddery old man.
Embarrassing old man. But does he know, and you would know this, Gareth, that in the late 1950s, when the US was looking for astronauts, they didn't know who they were going to send up, but they were starting their astronaut program, they were training people to go into space, and they thought they might want to send women up in preference to men, perhaps, because they tend to have lower body weight. This was one of the reasons. Lower body weight, therefore lower demands on all of your life support systems, and every pound counts going into space, yada, yada, yada. Yep. They trained up women on the Mercury...
They went through proper astronaut training.
Yeah, they did the same...
test pilots.
They did the same training and the same tests that the pilots who eventually became the Mercury astronauts went through. And basically the women did better in quite a few of the areas than the men.
Yeah, the whole oxygen thing they did very well, and I seem to remember as well.
There was also stuff to do with, I think, withstanding pain and being able to withstand kind of messing with some of your balance. Basically, they were sort of doing stuff like
Geordie women used to going out
pumping putting cold water in your ears while you're being spun around.
But you're right.
But yeah, they did. Basically,
and then
gives them like the idea that men are going to be better drivers.
But the programme was cancelled by Lyndon Johnson.
Texas boy.
Yeah, and
bit of a concern.
And that was the zeitgeist. That was the spirit of the age. And Stirling Moss is over 800 years old now.
That is true.
And he's bound to carry, just like Patrick Moore did, some of those belief systems which we've moved on several generations.
I heard
since.
that Patrick Moore's views were quite strident in a number of ways that should not be repeated in polite company.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't libel the dead. Apparently he's a bit racist. I'm not saying that Sir Stirling Moss is.
He's a man of his age.
He probably should be a bit careful about what he says, because he is a national treasure. And did you see, though, the Racing Legends programme on BBC?
I never did see that.
What was it on originally? And it was Sir Patrick Stewart profiling and eulogising Sir Stirling Moss.
Can you imagine how stupid it is for you and me not to have seen that? Sterling
Worth a watch. Yeah. But Patrick Stewart put a lot of gusto and is clearly a big fan of Stirling Moss. And,
well, of course.
In fact, regarded him as a bit of an idol of his, and had been all of his life. But there came a point when Patrick Stewart was gushing in his enthusiasm and his love for... Yes, he is. That's the thing. He was being a bit of a lovey to Sir Stirling Moss himself. And you could see that Sir Stirling Moss was having none of it. In a way, you have to admire his matter-of-factness, the way he's just a man who was employed to get on with the job. He did it as bally-well as he could, and then he went home for some crumpets and medals. And it's just that sort of heroic mentality that I think probably is a generational thing as well, but not making a fuss.
Yes, don't make a fuss. I was about to say exactly that. Now, get on with it without making a fuss.
Patrick Stewart went into the theatre, and clearly that is a world in which you are allowed to express your feelings and be a little bit more of what I think you've got the impression Sir Stirling Moss regarded as, get this bloody whoopsie out of my face and stop making such a bally fuss about everything, old boy. It's really just quite simple. I drove the car as fast as I could, and then I won the race, and I was given some champagne and a garland of flowers, and then I went home. No more to it. Now stop mucking around. Just there was a sense worth watching. I don't know if it's still on the iPlayer, but if it is worth watching for Sir Stirling Moss becoming slightly impatient with a lovey.
Do we still love him, though? Of course we do.
We do, but just don't try our patience, Sir Sterling, with your silly outpouring.
And sometimes even people you love say really stupid things.
Sorry about that, Zog, I didn't mean to.
Well,
it was the heat of the moment.
It happens.
And that's all from Derek Jacobi meets Alan Prost. Next week, Graham Norton meets Keke Rosberg.
Oh, Keke, you're so brave and strong. Didn't driving fast make the wind whistle through your moustache? Please get out of my house. This is very funny, second part of the show. We haven't really got to grips with Formula One at the moment.
Well, we've been rambling or something.
Yeah, that's not like us, is it? It's a bit of a walk in the woods. I like walking in the woods. Oh, sorry, Formula One, yeah.
As you were.
Yeah. The Tilke circuit worked rather well. I've been a bit critical of Tilke circuits recently. It's been a bit homogenous. But it worked rather well with DRS at the moment. We're getting an awful lot going on, and in concert with a very, very long straight, we're seeing the possibility of cars definitely nailing each other into the corner, and there were lots of car-to-car action in F1 at the moment. But here's the question. We've had 3 races, 3 different winners because of the lottery of the tyres and the fact that DRS can do that.
Yeah.
Do you reckon we'll match what happened last year? 7 winners in 7 races?
I'd like to think so. It made for interesting watching, and it sort of seems to be panning out that way so far. Who knows? Where are we going next? Bahrain? Or, as we were just talking about Sir Patrick Stewart, he started doing the voiceovers at the end of the... Yeah, it's very fruity. He's doing the voiceover at the end of the BBC Formula 1 coverage. Yeah. And I noticed this race just gone. He went, racing returns next week in Bahrain, and did a proper localised pronunciation of it.
Good.
But I love Bahrain.
But what you want to hear is, racing returns next week on the holiday planet Risa.
I once did a rewrites thing on a documentary about gorillas, and while I was doing it, word came through, yes, Sir Patrick Stewart is going to do the voiceover. As soon as I knew that, writing it became a piece of cake, because you knew anything he said was going to sound wonderful. Bird. Fantastic. That's not him, is it? That's Steve.
That's Brian.
Yes, it probably is.
Actually,
focus.
I have a bit of a commentary issue, speaking of voiceovers. I've got a bit of a complaint about the BBC commentary.
Not on the Gorilla Show.
This bugged me before. No, Gorilla Show, fantastic. No complaints about the Gorilla Show.
Thank you.
But it's something that Ben Edwards has certainly done, and I'm sure other people have done this. It always winds me up. It's rounding off the decimals incorrectly when they're reading out timings. If you have a time of 134.06, that gets incorrectly rounded to 134.0. They just chop off the last digit. They don't.
It should be 1.
Exactly, but 134.1.
They just disregard the third digit.
Yeah, they just chop off the last digit rather than doing a proper rounding.
And if anything is going to wind you up, it's the maths of Formula 1, isn't it?
It is, although actually the fact that Eddie Jordan said begs the question when he should have said raises the question, that kind of wound me up, because you know what a pedant I am. But I'm prepared to let that one slide.
So we're not allowed to say begs the question?
You are allowed to say begs the question, only if you're using it in the correct sense, and we don't have time to get into
it does
that.
beg the question, why?
No, it raises the question. And you've just proved it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, where were we? Formula 1 maths.
Rounding, incorrect rounding.
Do you think this is something that the BBC are doing, or is it an official FIA policy that when quoting times to just one decimal place, you simply and incorrectly lop the number off?
I'm pretty sure the FIA are a responsible handler of numbers. I'm sure they don't do
you are
that.
the FIA's
and I'm
head
sure
of
this is a
maths,
commentary thing.
do get in touch.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell Ben. I'll get in touch with Ben.
Do, have a word with him.
That'll fix that, won't it?
Have a word. The race itself.
Once we've got past, the incorrect mathematics, the fact that Eddie Jordan's first sentence on the BBC coverage was something like, and, Susie Perry doing a good job, turns to Eddie and goes, Eddie, welcome, great to have you here. And Eddie said, oh, now, Susie, the welcoming be back one, me, that's... the first sentence made no sense.
So you're right.
It's just, and the programme is all the better for it. That was great.
Always is. I know people still criticise Eddie Jordan, but it would be quite dull without him.
Yeah, it would.
Long may his unique reign of amiable bollocks continue.
Amiable bollocks. Anyway, the race now, where were we?
And will we have another 7 winners in 7 different races?
Will we?
No, we won't. No,
you think not?
I don't think so. I'll happily take a bet on that right now.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know, I'm trying to think. So we're going to Bahrain. Who might shine there? Given they've only got the week, so there's going to be there won't be any major changes to the cars. No, there just can't be. And so you'd have to say Alonso. You wouldn't bet against him winning again.
When I said
it's going to be Alonso or Vettel most likely, and if it's not Alonso or Vettel, it'll be Hamilton or maybe Kimi.
Kimi's great. Kimi's doing better than even we hoped he might, actually, I think. And you have to feel for Grosjean, who, he's been talked to by a psychologist. I think I've mentioned this on the show before. The psychologist is going, don't crash. The start of the race, don't, the crash thing, don't do that, okay? Look in my eyes, not around the eyes, in the eyes. And what's that done to Grosjean? It's crushed him.
Yeah, it's killed his mojo.
Yeah, it's killed him. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
on the other hand,
he'll bounce back.
His mojo seems to have moved over to Ricciardo, Ricciardo, who had Ricciardo, whichever. Who he had a good race. I thought he was.
And Paul di Resta actually brought it home in 8th. Not bad, no bad. But
considering a loss,
but we could have done better.
Considering it was raining, no, it wasn't. Well, in my mind it was. Bless him. He hauled it round and it's okay. Did you hear Ross Brawn's radio transmission to Lewis Hamilton at the end of the race?
Well,
it went on a bit long.
Yeah,
he
did.
was giving him. It's like you're not having a meeting here.
He was reading from a script.
It was bizarre.
Which transmission was that? I'm trying to remember.
We just go, okay, Lewis. It's
got a lot of work
it's
to
a long
do.
way to go, but that was good. We're making progress. We'll definitely keep making progress. A few things to still work on, but I think overall we can. Like, oh, shut up! I was just to go, woohoo!
You're ready to
on Monday.
He's actually started a meeting.
Box this lap, that is that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. It wants to be just well done,
Do you
Lewis.
want
That's
more
great.
fun?
And then you debrief later. We go, oh, by the way, if you still got my blue pen, I think I gave it to you, and you were making some notes with it. Don't worry if you haven't. I have got another blue pen. In fact, there's a box of them here. So forget I said that. Do you fancy going for dinner on Tuesday? No, actually, I can't do Tuesday. I just remembered. The bloke's
And
come
by the
and
way,
got out of the car.
On the other hand, you've got Ferrari going phenomenale.
Yeah.
The spelling is so down for us. We will not speak in English.
You can
we will speak Italian very slowly.
You can hear the hand gestures. You can hear the hand.
There's a lot
There's sort of,
Phenomenale.
And he was phenomenal, wasn't he?
He was phenomenale.
One other thing I just wanted to say quickly. If I was the head of aerodynamics for Lotus, I would be a bit worried
I know where you're going with this.
that I was in for a bit of a telling off because Kimi Raikkonen nudged into the back of Perez, essentially bent his nose, and the car seemed to fly after
I've
that.
got a theory about this.
Is this to do with turbulent airflow?
They created a synthetic F duct. You've now got a hole in the front of your car where the air is now tearing into the car, right? Depending on whether your feet is on the brake or the accelerator, right? You can cover that hole and change the pressure at the nose. They've improved it. On the straights, he was able to maximise the flow, and when it was necessary, he can pump stuff back over the wing by changing his foot position. Just a theory.
I don't know. I thought it was extraordinary. So, break the nose, flies. It's the secret to everything.
Oh, my fan. My fan. Tom, my fan. Tom, you've got to listen to me now, right? Tom.
What, Dad?
Tom Jones, you may be my son, but I gotta tell you this now, right? Your singing, shocking.
Shut up, Dad.
What did you say?
I told you to shut up.
How dare you? You don't speak to your dad like that! Oh my God, Thomas! What have you done? You've broken his bloody nose!
No, I think it's okay, Mum. I think... Hang on.
Well, that's lovely.
Gareth Jones on speed.
There's a Formula One elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about the ultra heavyweight 40 car of the 1990s. See what I did there? We haven't mentioned this whole demonisation of Vettel. Saying it like they say it now. Vettel. Sebastian with an A. I think we just resent his success a little bit, and that's why so many people are ready to jump and stab him with a Formula One shaped knife, because of the whole multi-21 thing where he passed Webber when he really wasn't supposed to. Would you agree with that? Is it just, we're fed up with you now, you've done your bit?
Well, we also have all been carried along by the sort of smiley, cheery, oh yeah, it's a loving the Monty Python kind of side of him, and this fact that he seems like a very chipper, sort of pleasant bloke. And I have to say, when we had him on Top Gear, he was a very chipper and pleasant sort of bloke.
So was Pol Pot when you hung out with him. He
Yeah,
liked
exactly.
the goons, for instance.
Niddle laddle noo, kill them all. So, I'm sure it's not entirely false, but I think he plays up to it a little bit, and then we've actually seen the ruthless streak underneath. Tell him to get out of the way, he's too slow, and then just disregarding team orders.
Yeah.
And people are surprised, and actually there's no surprise there. He has the same streak that I think you would have found and did find in Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher.
That's right.
And people who were truly at a sublime level of Formula One driving, they were the ones who were multiple world champions. They had that will to win at all costs.
I wouldn't agree that a level of disrespect for your team that says in your mind that it's okay to disregard team orders whenever you like.
Oh no, I mean
is
that was
the kind of thing that
was
it takes.
silly.
That it takes to.
At the very least, he can talk to them. He could have said, "Look, come on, seriously, I think I can do better than this."
And he could have been more honest about it after the race, rather than sort of in a slightly half-hearted way, sort of apologising to Webber and the team, and then.
Saying he wasn't sorry. It was all very
and then
confusing. By the end of it,
basically
he was
the
sorry
Chinese
for
Grand
not being
Prix.
sorry for the sorriness that he brought to his.
Yeah, I thought his apology directly after the race wasn't genuine. I don't think he should have disregarded the team order. Granted, there's some history between him and Webber where each has shown some disrespect to the other, and Vettel felt, rightly or wrongly, that Webber hadn't earned the right to have Vettel keep position behind him.
I'm sort of with you, Zog. I'm going to spring to the defence of Vettel. Sebastian with an A. In his mindset now, he's thinking, I've just ticked off 2 world championships for these guys, and I know how to do this. Webber's got close, but nowhere near close enough to be as safe a bet for the team as me. And he wants to maximise that situation. You don't know if the guy in front of you is slow enough. He may have some sort of technical issue, might not even finish the race. You want to get in front of him to maximise that opportunity. That's the racer's instinct. I think he's not suffering from Bieber levels of arrogance at the moment.
No, especially given the Anne Frank physicist book incident.
Because personally, I think Anne Frank would have been more of a Sebastian Vettel fan than a believer. That's the truth of it.
I don't think she was a huge fan of the Germans generally, but
there is that.
We'll probably just skirt round this whole.
Because that won't offend anyone, what we just... No, it won't. No. Safe. Not in this context, no. So, I'm with him. I'm absolutely with him. I think he made the right decision. If he had the pace, you can see why he did it. I'm not saying he was right to do it, but you can see why he did it. And I also defend the whole apology thing, because there's a culture in Formula One at the moment of not a lack of honesty, but you have to be very careful about what you say in the press conference afterwards. You can't even say, that prototype front suspension system that we're running didn't work very well, because then all your sponsors get off and won't pay for the development of that. So you tend to be very circumspect about what you do say. And I think when he was saying, I didn't really know, he didn't know how much he could say or not at that point.
Well,
he wasn't great. He wasn't super honest and wonderful, which we would love him to be, but I think it's a difficult environment in which to be that.
I don't know. Given what he did, i.e. disregarding a clear team order, because I don't for a moment buy the claim that he heard it on the radio but didn't fully process it. I can't remember the form of words he used,
rubbish.
But he basically said, I heard it but I didn't fully understand it, or if I'd really thought it... No.
I failed to hear the last letter of every
He chose to
word.
ignore it. He chose to ignore it. And he didn't then say after the race, I really wanted that win and I wasn't prepared to let Mark stand in my way. He wasn't prepared to be that honest about it either. And he's disrespected the team and team orders. I think it reflects quite badly on Vettel, and it might even prove to be a slightly stupid move, because I'm sure he'll need Webber's help through the season at some point.
Yeah.
And is Webber going to lift a finger to help him?
Hell no. And can we be grateful that it is Webber who is Vettel's teammate at the moment? Because Webber's pretty down about this whole thing. You can see his shoulders are going, his face. Just be grateful it's not Paul di Resta. There would be a huge...
the biggest rain...
That'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
Even this dull, tasteless broth isn't cheering me up.
What would it take to cheer up Paul di Resta?
There's nothing in the world.
Haggis pasta.
Oh, no, a flicker. Oh, this is slightly less disappointing than I was expecting. But then Lee Mackenzie would pop up and go, you must be very disappointed. And you go, actually, I am, yes.
Spaghetti a la Colcannon. That's what we'd do, wouldn't it?
Mike.
Spaghetti a la cold sick. Oh, no. Oh, this is just as disappointing as I was expecting. Oh, this is making me extremely miserable. Oh, no.
Reaching new levels of misery.
He is.
Webber and di Resta.
Well, poor old Webber, and I think that he must, after the Chinese Grand Prix, got to the point where he's thinking, just screw this. I'm giving up. I'm going to go surfing again and forget all about this. Because he got into that little scuffle with Jean-Eric Verne. I thought it was a bit unfair to then be given a 3 grid place penalty for it. It looked to me... Well, it wasn't clear-cut that it was... completely his fault. Yes, he probably should have just assumed that Verne would take the racing line. I think what he assumed was, Toro Rosso
Had told them. Yeah.
are bitches in the same way that I appear to now be Sebastian's bitch, and he will keep out of my way. And it didn't happen. And then
the abused
that's
becomes
thing,
the
you see,
abuser.
cycle of abuse is a terrible thing. So I think he just misread the body language of the car, and then he clipped into it. But a 3-grid place penalty, seems a bit harsh. I'd say, do you know who doled it out as well?
Who was
Mark Blundell, talking
Really?
as you were earlier on about people who mangle grammar. Maybe he actually said, no, I think we should let him go scot-free, but he said it in such a convoluted way.
No one knew
what he was on
Actually, that's
about.
possible. If you had to apportion blame for that crash, it has to be Webber's fault. He was optimistic,
Yes.
at least, on getting through that.
But these things happen.
Yeah, they do. I mean, racing incident.
It seems likely that Webber won't stick around in Red Bull next year. I don't think he could stand for his sanity anymore. And there have been
Some exciting rumours where he might go.
Well, yes, possibly. We'll come to that in a moment. I know.
Yeah.
We've only got a couple of minutes, literally 2 minutes. But the first thing I want to say is Matisic said that Kimi was a likely candidate for a replacement for Webber. And wouldn't we like to see Kimi beating Webber
Well,
in his
Kimi's
beating
reaction to
Vettel
that
in his
was-
own car?
Did you see it? Apparently, I
You
didn't
never
see
know.
that someone was telling me today in the Saturday press conference after qualifying, talking to some other drivers, and then the interviewer went, Kimi Räikkönen, and Kimi just went,
Really?
just like, oh no.
Really?
Oh,
Do you
God,
really
God,
have to ask me a
this
question?
now.
Do I really have to say something?
But what Zog was alluding to there, if we do get Kimi in a Red Bull next year, actually I quite like him in a Lotus. If anyone's going to be in Lotus, put Kimi in it, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if he was at Red Bull next year, and Webber goes to where it's been suggested he might go. Have you heard about this, Richard?
I heard a couple of things, but it's just about going to sports car racing.
Yeah, and a particular team that I
Going
think we'll be
to-
particularly excited about next year.
Going to Porsche.
Yeah, Porsche for their
this was
2014
last week, wasn't it?
effort.
Yeah. Where did this come from, though?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
So the job one for the Porsche team.
Only a rumour at this stage.
Yes, should stress that. But the job one should be make sure the front end of that car is absolutely pinned down. Because
Yeah, we don't want that to
Webber's
happen
like, look,
again.
guys, I just don't want any of this anymore.
Let's stay on the ground next time.
Yeah, build it out of titanium or
Just ballast.
Adamantium.
All the front wings. He'll wear
The only
really
metal
heavy
made-
racing boots just to be on the safe side. Try and keep that nose pinned.
You've been listening to Zog.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to Richard.
Goodbye.
And occasionally me, Gareth. See you for the next On Speed.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!